Volume 89 on Payments and Debts and Legacies of the Executor and the Guidelines. Presented at the first accounting, and it was not barred at the time of the decedent death. SL 1868, Chapter 594. The executor and administrator in making payments of debts and legacies when he cannot pay in full should be careful not to pay even pro rata, so much as to leave not enough of the estate to pay his expenses and charges. The executive administrator in making payments of debts and legacies when he cannot pay the full should be careful not to pay in pro rata. I'm going to read that again. The executor may retain out of the legacy a debt due to the testator from the legatee. S. Chris Stamler, 1 Tucker 42. So much has been written upon the supposition that the estate is so involved as to render caution necessary, but where the estate is manifestly abundant, the executor and administrator may pay all debts and even legacies, distribute the estate without the delay incident to advertising. Specific legacies may be delivered as soon as it shall be clear that it will not be necessary to dispose of them to pay debts. If specific articles not necessarily consuming the using are bequeathed to the legatee for life, the limitation over the without any direction to the executor to hold them in trust for the remainder man, the executor is authorized to deliver the same person a title to a life estate therein, taking from such person an inventory and receipt, specifying that such articles only belong to the first taker for life, and that afterwards they are to be delivered to the legatee who is entitled to them in reminder. Spear versus Tankham, 2 Bar, Chapter R 212. As before remarked, no legacy shall be paid by any executor or administrator until after the expiration of 1 year from the time of granting letters testamentary or of administration, unless the same are directed by the will to be sooner paid. 2 RS 90, 3 RS 5th edition 177. In case of legacy directed to the sooner paid, the executive administrator may require a bond with 2 sufficient sureties, condition that if any debt against the deceased shall duly appear in which there shall be no other assets to pay, and there shall be no other asset to pay other legacies, are not sufficient, that then the legatee shall refund the legacy so paid, or such retainable proportion thereof with the other legatee as may be necessary for the payment of said debts or promotional parts of such other legacies. If there be any in the cost of charges, inquire by reason of the payment to such legatee, and that if the probate of the will under which upon such other legacies, if any, if the cost of charges inquire such retireable portion. Wait a minute. They are the other legatees of the mean necessary for payments of said debts and proportional parts of such other legacies, if there be any, if the costs and charges inquired by reason of payment up to such legatee, and that if the probate of the will under which such legacy is paid shall be revoked or the will declared void, then that such legatee shall refund the whole such legacy with interest to the executive administrator entitled thereto. See Form Appendix. After the expiration of 1 year from the granting of any letter testimonial of the administration, the executors administrators shall discharge the specific legacies bequeathed by any will and pay the general legacies if there be assets. And if there be not sufficient asset, then abandonment, abandonment of the general legacies shall be made in equal proportion. Specific legacies are not subject to abandonment unless the testator clearly expresses his intention that they shall be so. 1 P. Williams 540. The rule of an abandonment of general legacies applies only to such as are mere gratuitous, where the legacy is given for a debt, or in the legatee of the relinquishment of any right and interest as of her dower by a widow. Such legacy will be entitled to preference of payments over the general legacies, which are mere bounties. 1 P. Williams 127, 6 page 298, 1 Russ chapter R 543, 1 Edward chapter 411. The legacy of piety, as for headstones of the apparent grave, will not be subject to abandonment. 6 page 278. Such payments may be enforced by the surrogate in the same manner as the return of an inventory as herein before provided, and also by the suit on the bond of such executor and administrator, whenever directed by the surrogate. Surrogate will direct the payment as above. 92. On the presentation of the petition stating the facts which show that the legacy legacy payable of the action may be commenced, therefore the Supreme Court see form appendix. In case any legatee in a minor, his legacy, if under the value of $50, may be paid to his father to the use or for the benefit of such minor. If the legacy be of a value of $50 or more, the same may, under the direction of the surrogate, be paid to the general guardian of the minor, who shall be required to give security to the minor, to be approved by the surrogate for the faithful application or accounting for such legacy. The security required in this section is additional security given to the appointment of the general guardians, obviously for the reason that the legacy given after the appointment made no part of the estate of the minor on which the amount of such former security was based. 48. If there be no such guardian, surrogate do not direct such payment, the legacy shall be invested in parliament securities under the direction of the surrogate in the name and for the benefit of such minor upon annual interest. And an interest may be applied under the direction of the surrogate to the support of education of such minor. Okay, this is I think it was going to be 88 to 92.